Good Thursday morning, everybody. Today, I'm super excited to share with you guys an interview I did with the vocal jazz group, the Bean Tones, who I first heard online singing an arrangement of the song A Trout No Doubt, which is super fun. So I reached out and they agreed to chat with me for a little bit. The Bean Tones are a vocal jazz quartet that performs original arrangements and covers of a wide range of classic and contemporary music. Founded in 2018 while attending Berklee College of Music, the group began as a barbershop quartet before transitioning to performing vocal jazz arrangements. They are now based in Los Angeles. Inspired by groups such as the Four Freshmen and Hi-Lo's, the Bean Tones blend their unique and charismatic sound with the vocal traditions of the 40s and 50s to create an exciting new sound for new audiences. And again, I apologize for the background noise, but the good news is the music building is still being used for music. I hope you guys enjoy.
Bean Tones interview, take one.
There we go, okay.
I was going to roast you, but that was actually a great clap.
I should go equal.
All right, before we get into the interview, I just wanted you guys to each individually introduce yourselves. So basically, name, what vocal part you sing, and then maybe like what instruments you also play in the group.
All right. I'm Davin Kingston. I sing bass and I play guitar.
Mm-hmm. I'm James Gillen. I sing the second part or the lead in Barbershop, and I play the trumpet.
My name's Grant Heineman. I sing the baritone or third part, and I play the brushes and sometimes melodica.
My name's Chris Peters. I sing the top part, the first part, or I'm tenor in baritone. Tenor in Barbershop. And I play bass. And sometimes the drum.
Mm-hmm.
The drum.
Okay, so next, I'd like you guys to talk about maybe like what your experience is with Barbershop before the group got together, and then also like how did you guys meet, and whose idea was it to start this group and stuff like that. So like the origins, I guess.
Let's start on that end.
I think we all independently tried to form barbershops.
Yeah, and to varying degrees of success. Because I've tried twice in high school and they never panned out very much.
We all did it in high school, right?
Yeah, same
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, but Grant's the only one I think that did a barbershop quartet in high school that like
Was
performed and yeah.
Yeah.
Was
Well,
same.
my high school had a barbershop chorus program. So like 50 kids total were like involved with that in the men's and women's. And then we would go to like conventions every year too. So that was a big motivating factor to like try to be good and stuff. And so then when I got to Berklee, I was like, I miss it. Let's keep doing it. And then I found these guys.
Grant and I were roommates in our dorms, and then we met James in the cafeteria.
During like orientation, we just sat down next to each other.
Yeah, and just we went.
Recording in progress.
I just realized that it wasn't recording even though I'd requested it. Anyways,
Oh,
go on.
that's fine.
Should we start over? Hi, I'm Chris.
I'm Grant. I can sing the baritone.
So we met in the dining hall, and then Grant, Davin, and I were in a just chamber choir at Berklee that we all independently just joined. And so Grant came up to me one day and said that he and Chris wanted to start a barbershop quartet, and we needed a bass. So we were like, we know Davin.
No, first you sang with somebody else.
Yeah, we did sing. We sang with a roommate of someone here, and then we found Davin.
Yeah.
Let's leave it at that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. The rest is history.
Cool. Okay, so I'm curious to know what events you guys performed at Berklee, and then when you moved out to LA, like what kind of people want to hear barbershop at their events?
We just forced it on everyone, basically.
Yeah, people don't know they want it till they hear it.
Yeah.
A big thing is like weddings. Like we actually did a wedding in Boston, and then we're getting some wedding attention now. But at Berklee, we started just doing stuff at the school. We actually did singing telegrams, was like our first thing. It was in the cafeteria, and it was on Valentine's Day.
Mm-hmm.
And we just sing on the street, like Newberry Street in Boston.
That was where we performed a lot on Newberry Street. And
Like
that was
every
when
weekend, yeah.
People
At
like
this
hearing.
point, we had all moved in together, so we all lived together.
Yeah.
So
Right.
just like on a random Saturday, we would just be like, want to busk?
Yeah.
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 And we go
Which was
sing.
awesome.
And then we also did a lot of barbershop competitions. So like we did the one in Portland, Maine. We did one in Hyannisport. And then we went to one in Connecticut. But yeah.
And then at Berkeley, at some point we got known enough that we sang in the acapella. They had like a big acapella showcase, and we were like because we're not contemporary acapella groups, which is what was the main crux of the show. But we were the
Like
kind
Pitch Perfect.
intermission. We were like the intermission small act, and so we got to perform for everyone at Berkeley. So that was fun.
And then eventually we sang on a Jonas Brothers song. I'm not lying. We actually,
fact about
I'm
us.
not lying. So there's the
Well, some of us.
We're skipping
Some
a lot
of
of
us.
time here.
Yeah.
This
At
is a
some
huge
point-
time jump.
More important and relevant is we started a barbershop group at Berkeley,
We did, yeah.
barbershop club.
But let me give context because you're probably confused. Davin's a songwriter and producer, has a lot of connections, and one of his mentors and friends is this Jonas Brothers co-writer, and they knew that we as in I was a big fan, and we all sang background vocals on a song except for James.
I wasn't there.
It doesn't
Wow. What song is that?
remember this.
Remember this.
Okay,
For
I'll
the-
have to look for
The
it.
Olympics. And then it never played at the Olympics, but it was supposed to be for the Olympics.
I think it did.
It did play at the
Oh,
end.
yeah.
Anyway, we did start. Yeah, we started a barbershop club at Berkeley.
Oh
that-
yeah.
That like we brought in other people that we knew and people who were interested, and we would perform concerts every semester and stuff like that.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically anything we could do.
Yeah.
Okay. Next, I was curious to know, what are your favorite barbershop groups that you guys listen to, and then what components of their style do you draw from and put into your own group?
Well, for a long time, we were trying to be just a barbershop quartet. It wasn't until 2021 that we introduced instruments and covering four freshman songs and vocal jazz and stuff. So at the start, we were kind of we wanted to be a competitive barbershop quartet, which if you're familiar with the Barbershop Harmony Society, it's this big thing. There's a, international championship every year, and there's some really...
I think I have seen videos from that.
Yeah. There's some challenging arrangements, and it's a lot of vocal gymnastics and stuff. And so at the start, we were kind of doing a lot of really tricky stuff. There's a group called Vocal Spectrum that we did some of their charts, and then just I took a lot of charts that we sang in my high school that I already knew, so I could teach them really easily. And a lot of we were trying to just get rep to sing on the street to make money, because we would put a bucket down or something and try to make really simple palatable barbershop stuff, and then also at the same time really hard competition charts and stuff. And yeah, that was the main influence at the start. So Vocal Spectrum, we loved Instant Classic, this quartet from Indiana.
We were fans of our friends that were big in the Northeast District where we were, which was Greenlight. They're a group that we became friends with.
Shout
And
out
Daily
Greenlight.
Special.
And Daily Special.
Special,
Yeah.
Tomato Staccato.
Yeah.
A lot
All the
of
greats.
All the-
Yeah. All the
Shout out to all of them.
Northeastern District, shout out.
The best district.
And then we moved on to four freshman vocal jazz inspired stuff, which is
We were always big fans of the four freshmen, so it was just natural, the kind of progression, and then we just transitioned from big fans to obsessed, and so they're
Yeah.
definitely our biggest inspiration, especially now. It's we model our, we got the autobiography of one of their members, and we're trying to just be them,
live
basically.
their life. Yeah.
We went to the wife's house of one of the the original band was in the 50s. It's a band. I guess they're a band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're like a boy band in a way. The original members have all passed, but there's a wife who's still around, and her whole family, and they keep the legacy going. And they live in California, so once we came out here, they invited us over, and we got to hang out with them, which was awesome. So yeah, we're huge
That's so
fans
fun.
of them.
Can you think of any specific qualities that maybe the four freshmen have that you guys really admire and then want to emulate?
Everything.
Well,
Yeah.
they just have such a very unique sound, not just in the way that they arrange their charts, but also just the way that they're very they try to sound like a horn section, just like really just punchy and loud and just fun. And I think we love trying to emulate that, I think.
I love a good horn section.
Yeah. They have very strong roots in barbershop too, which like a lot of vocal jazz tends to like, I just think it's the perfect middle ground between like, you know, kind of an a cappella, you know, quartet sound versus like a vocal jazz thing where they're singing extensions a lot of the time and like rootless voicings. I think For Freshmen is just like the perfect, you know, marriage between the two styles. And so we wanted to kind of like emulate that with what we do as well. So anything we do is kind of in that vein.
Awesome. Okay, so let's talk specifically about Barbershop. I'm not an expert, but I hope you guys are. So, I was curious to know, like, what are some of the main characteristics that make Barbershop so distinctive in its style?
I'm gonna sit this
and
one
like,
out.
what do you think people are drawn into?
Great.
Grant is like our barbershop guy.
Yeah.
I want to see you guys do it.
Well, we can do it. Okay.
We can do it.
So for one, the melody is typically in the second part from the top. So usually it's the melody and then to the bass, a baritone, and then the tenor above it. So that's a feature in terms of how it's arranged. And then musically, it relies heavily on the dominant seventh chord, or dominant seventh
Of course.
chords. Yeah.
Should we do a little example?
No.
So the dominant seventh chord sound is just like huge throughout barbershop charts. And
Come on, just the dominant seven, Devin. We gotta do it.
no,
Wait,
and-
good.
No.
Where are the bean tones?
That chord.
That chord. Yeah.
All right, we did it.
I love that chord.
Yeah.
What inversion of the
That's
Second.
It's the
second
second
version
version.
of the five?
Yeah. And then other than that, I don't know. Are there any other?
It's
Yeah, you guys
homorhythmic. So
Yeah,
a
yeah.
lot of
Oh,
the time
texture.
texture-wise, we're like on a lot of modern acapella, you're splitting off parts. So
Someone will
they're
have
not-
a melody.
Someone's doing like the bass, and someone's doing the melody. But in barbershop, everybody's singing the same
lyrics of the
words
song,
at the
yeah.
same time.
Yeah, I love that. I love that feature. Like, everyone's singing the same rhythm, but you have different harmonies. But it's all very cohesive that way.
Which separates it from contemporary acapella or like a doo-wop group from the 50s, something like that.
Yeah.
Another small detail too is there's not a lot of vibrato. Like it's a lot of straight tone, just like ringing things as hard as you can. And so there's a lot of overtones and like singing in cool spaces is like one of the cool characteristics of it.
Okay, well, on that note, how do you get those chords to ring? Because that's like one of the coolest parts about barbershop that I love is like all four parts when you're singing in harmony, they ring so beautifully.
You need the tenor to be slightly flat.
No.
Just jumps to the end of it.
Vowel and formant matching. So you can sing a chord in tune theoretically, but it won't ring unless your vowels are perfectly matched with, you know, whoever your lead is or your like melody part, which just requires a lot of like micro adjustments in terms of like how you're shaping your mouth and like the tiny things with tuning. And then it of course relies a lot on like the overtone series, so you can like to perfectly lock something in tune. There's like rules with the overtone series based on like how harmonics exist in nature, where for example the flat 7 would be like 33 cents flat or something. So Chris has the flat 7 a lot, so that's why he's like, it gotta be flat.
There's a joke where I'm usually flat anyway. So the joke is like they'll give the key and they'll be like E flat for everyone, and then they'll play E for me. So I just like
But and that the thing about the reason that barbershop and acapella music in general can sound so in tune is because we are relying on the natural harmonics that occur in nature, which isn't exactly possible when using a piano or because the way that instrument is tuned and how instruments in general are tuned. With just voices, you can really get purely perfectly in tune.
Yeah, and on the note about like vowel shapes, the same thing is true in like the vocal jazz ensemble that I do at school. We work a lot on getting our vowels to sound the same so we can blend. So that's true among many different styles. Oh, the next question I had was, for Barbershop and for the vocal jazz stuff you've been doing more recently, what do you think? Maybe each of you can say one important skill for someone who would want to do something like that. Yeah, and it can be like music related or not,
Sure.
like etiquette or anything like that.
Yeah. I think just listening to other to barbershop arrangements or vocal jazz arrangements, just following your ear and following your interest in it. Just the act of just listening to that sort of music and getting familiar with it is hugely helpful and beneficial when you're learning a chart or picking out a chart to learn or something like that, and being able to be familiar with the style, so you know kind of what you can look at an arrangement and say, oh, I know what they're doing. I've heard this before. That's what I would say.
Yeah, find other people who can like at least are interested in it, and see if you can like learn like small snippets of things. Like barbershop tags are nice and easy to start learning, or like snippets of like vocal jazz kind of thing. There are like things out there if you know where to look, that are like just free PDFs and things to start learning, or like just YouTube videos where they break down a chart or something and explain the harmony, are just really helpful. Like just get obsessed, because I got obsessed with it in high school, and just be annoying about it, because then one day you'll go to college and it'll be like cool to like to do that.
Yeah.
Do you think you could give us an example of a barbershop tag, or say more about that? I don't know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes. Which one should we do?
No, not to say, just to explain
Well,
it.
We could sing one too.
Yeah, so the barbershop tag is like the last, usually it's the end of a barbershop chart. So it's just like, typically the lead part will be like holding a post, or there'll just be some final, and it's like usually rubato. And it's like just, it's like kind of an icebreaker, like a musical kind of just activity you can do, and it's usually really short and sweet. So that's like throughout college, that's all we would do to like evangelize barbershop, is like get people who have never sung it before and say, sing these notes really quick in this way, and like you can make 4-part harmony with us, and it's really fun.
Yeah.
Can we do one real quick?
Yeah, we can do one real quick.
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
I'll just do.
Lost.
Or, no, let's
Lost.
Yeah.
let's see how about like When I Leave the World Behind.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
do When I Leave the World Behind. Let's see, flat.
Because it's stereotypical. Because I'll post.
Yeah.
Okay. Ready?
When I leave the world behind.
Oh, yeah.
Behind.
When I leave the world behind.
Just like that. So just a little snippet like that.
Just a small thing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
There's apps. What's the new app that
There's
everybody uses?
there's an app called Good Tags that everyone uses now. There are like lots of apps. There's like an app called Tag Master, and like if you just go to any Barbershop Harmony Society event, there will always be people who are like friendly and like want to just evangelize tags and like sing with you no matter what your experience level. So if you're interested in that, it's like super fun. You should go check out your local, barbershop event.
Tags are like the currency that barbershoppers exchange when they meet each other. It's like, let's sing a tag. I'll sing this part, you sing this part. Let's learn it really quick. Yeah.
That's fun. Okay. Now, would you talk a little bit about like what's the standard rep maybe? So like I guess for the more barbershop stuff, like what you were doing in the beginning, and then maybe like what's your set or rep look like now, and how has that changed from the beginning to now?
Well, like when we started, it was almost entirely barbershop, and there was a lot of just like simple barbershop tunes, like some famous ones that, like there's one called Hi Neighbor, that's just like barbershop classics kind of, that we would sing a lot on the street just to make people or like Hello My Baby, and Mr. Sandman.
Yeah, barbershop classics, and also polecats is a term that it refers to like a, I don't know, it's like barbershop standards kind of. If that makes, like every barbershopper usually knows a couple polecats, Yeah.
Yeah. And then over the years, as we gravitated more towards vocal jazz and like for freshmen stuff, we kept adding more of that. And then, so now when we do a show, it's usually mainly like the vocal jazz stuff with instruments, with like some barbershop sprinkled in. here and there, or if we're like on the street and someone wants us to sing there, we'll do like a barbershop song quickly. But and then, you know, as we like try to become our own band and not just like a cover group or like a barbershop quartet, we're, you know, trying to implement more original arrangements and just like try to make our own sound that's kind of a hybrid of all our influences, which just naturally takes time.
Grant is our fearless arranger, so he's arranged our first original and many more to come, and
Stuff on the way.
Yeah, and I was curious to learn about that process, so why don't we just get into that? Grant, you can talk about it, and anyone else who participated, but like...
None of us.
He just hands us the chart.
So how do you go about arranging a tune for your group? Maybe something, tunes that aren't originally for like 4-part vocals or stuff that already is.
Yeah, it's a weird process because it's almost like a magic in a way. You don't really think about how to do it as you're doing it, because that would kind of ruin what makes it like intuitive and like instinctual. So basically, at least in my own personal arranging journey, it was just to like sing charts that I loved for years and years, like with these guys or like in other groups, and kind of just like every time I hear something in a chart I like, I just make a mental note of like, I like that chord, I like how that does that, or like this type of like movement is very idiomatic for the 50s, or this is like a very kind of like 60s thing. And then when it's time to sit down to like arrange something for specifically this group, I just know I have all these like tools in my toolkit where like if I want this to be like a 40s sound, or kind of just, you know, I can replicate, I could just pick and like mix and match all these things from like musical devices, like a lot of unisons and a lot of like, what's it called, like where you start as unison and then counterpoint, like get big and then get small again, and just like thinking in shapes in terms of arranging. And you kind of just, you sit down and you let it happen, and then you're like, okay, I'm done. It's weird. It's kind of a it's like a weird, there's no formula or logic to it, but it's fun.
Because I mean, like, we're the 4 freshmen who, again, we were just trying to emulate as much as possible. Their arranging, especially in the beginning, their arranging style was they would just like do it by ear. So they'd know the melody of whatever the song they were singing is, and then just form the chords below it, and then that's what they did. And so I think emulating that sort of natural sort of you used a word, just I'm trying to think of the word you use, idiomatic or
trying to replicate their style. So like the reason, you know, we went to school and like studied chords like this and stuff, or so like we can hear something in their recording and immediately just know like that's a major 6 chord, or like that's a flat 9, you know, and not have to like dissect every single note from it. So it just makes the process
That's something
easier.
I'm working on right now. That's something I want to get better at, because I don't feel great about like listening to a song and then being like, oh, that's the 5, that's the 1, that's the like where it's going. But I want to be able to do that, because that's super cool and interesting to know.
Yeah, it's just something that comes with time.
Yeah.
And so like every chord and every kind of movement we did in Trout No Doubt, we've done before in other songs. And then when it was time to just do Trout No Doubt, it was like, from this song I'll take this, and like this type of intro I'll take from this recording, or, you know, this type of ending I'll take from here. And then just trying to be tasteful with like the amount of like letting Chris breathe when it's not time to sing high, or like giving someone a solo here and there. It's just so it's like there's like an equal kind of balance and weight distributed amongst everyone in the group, like little things like that.
And how did you decide on the instrumentation? Because like there's trumpet and brushes on the snare, and there's what else? Guitar, bass, or something like that.
So again, we also just kind of copied the 4 freshmen, but we used to do a formation where James was on bass and then I played violin, and it was just not great.
Just because when we first started out, that was the only like soloing instrument we had, because Davin played guitar and I was playing bass, and Grant's a great piano player, but in terms of the way the freshmen set up and the way that we like doing it is to be more mobile and not to have a piano and be able to sing around a mic. It's easier to just have portable instruments. And so eventually, we were at a 4 freshman convention, and they were talking to us, and they were like, one of you should learn to play a horn of some kind because it's more in the style, and so
And then
so
this
then
guy
I learned.
did.
Yeah,
He learned a new instrument in like a whole year.
Yeah,
Wow.
still learning. But we also we switch it up just for fun based on like Grant plays the melodica and it's just we just have for variety's sake just switch that up and you know.
Yeah.
But it just works for that style to have basic sort of rhythm section.
Yeah, that's mad impressive that you just picked up the trumpet for that.
Yeah,
Got it.
Yeah.
Someone had to.
Someone had to.
Someone had to do it.
He stepped up.
I guess, yeah, this is kind of similar to what we were talking about. For transcription, like, I noticed that How Do You Like Your Eggs, that song was transcribed. Obviously, you talked about, like, listening to the original arrangements and then, like, copying down the chords. But what other tips and tricks do you have for transcribing, like, with so many parts happening all at the same time?
That song's crazy too.
That song's
They're
crazy,
just,
yeah.
they're
Yeah,
just
it's
yelling.
interesting. We did transcribe that one by ear.
Yeah.
So we all just sat down.
We sat in front of the TV and just like repeated.
Yeah.
We
Over
looped
and
it.
over.
It helps to transcribe.
I don't even think. Do we have that one written down?
No, we don't.
No, we don't have it written down.
It helps to transcribe with your quartet in the room, so you can just do that. No,
I mean, to get to that like point, it's just like all of us have spent years learning these like different barbershop pieces or vocal jazz pieces or doing choirs, performing gigs, whatever it is. And so like at this point when we're listening, we can really hear our own part at least.
Yeah.
So in that case, it was like I could hear the bass part and pick that out, you know, and we all kind of did that individually. And then we just went section by section. So we'd like loop one section until we got it right. And, you know, like check ourselves like, hey, if I was like trying to learn a bass part and I couldn't quite hear it, I'd be like, what do you think it is?
And we still have like disagreements where it's like, I think the bass is doing this, and I think the bass is doing this, and we're listening, and then it's like, well, it would make more sense if it did this. But like listening with good headphones or good speakers is always helpful because you can hear like a lot of the bass in the low end that you can't from like a phone speaker or something.
or slowing it down.
Slowing it
Yeah,
down.
like on YouTube.
There's
Yeah.
actually a Google Chrome app that you can download that like is like in your browser that you can slow down. We've never used it. I don't know if you have, but
I showed it to you. Yeah.
I thought I showed it to, I showed
No,
it
I
to
showed
you.
it to you.
No, I showed it to you.
Oh,
I'm like 68% sure I showed it to you because I saw it on a TikTok.
Okay.
And you can go to like a YouTube video and you can speed things up, slow things down, all just like in there, change the pitch and everything. It's crazy. But that's a helpful tool as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the biggest thing is when
doing
if you're doing it in a quartet scenario or whatever, is trying to hear the your part and the internal logic of oh, this is my part is doing this and your part's doing this, and then
Yeah, and then over time you start to recognize these devices that like the styles of music are doing. So like if we hear a certain chord, we'll be like, oh, we've sang that before. Like that's a 5/7 chord, and we can just you know, like figure it out that way. But that, I mean, it'll be really hard, and it'll like continue to be hard, and then as you go on, it just gets easier. So.
Are there any like lines of progression or harmony that you look out for? Like in jazz, 2-5-1 is everywhere. So like maybe, and so like if I'm listening to a song and I hear that, then I'll be able to recognize it. Like, are there any standard progressions that are everywhere in barbershop or in or whatever kind of music you're transcribing that you look for?
In the 4 freshman stuff, it's also 2-5-1. Like
Yeah.
most of the time.
And in terms of voicings, there's like so many things that are idiomatic for like just like you can usually trace a sound to like a decade or something, or an era. So you know, I took a big band arranging class at Berkeley, and like all the harmonies are just the same because it's like big band was like popular at the time the 4 freshmen were popular. So like just like chords like a 13 flat 9 chord, you'll dissect and like learn how to voice in a big band class, but then you're like, oh, you can also like have a quartet sing that if you do it like with this voicing or something. And so it's just like I tend to notice like voicings more often than like progressions, just because like progression, like once you study jazz, you'll like recognize it's kind of a lot of the same over and over again, and so how you voice it is what will give it its unique like characteristic. And so in our style, there's a lot of like closed voicings, so voicings that are within 1 octave, like 6 chords or like diminished chords. And they're like theories with like going if you were to go up and down a major scale, like a diminished theory, where if you were to, you would sing a major 6 chord on each chord tone, and on all the passing tones in between, you would sing a diminished chord, and that's just something that was popular in the time period. So if we're like transcribing something, and we like hear the melody go up the scale or something, even if we can't hear the other parts, we could like make an educated guess that like, between these 2 chords is probably a diminished chord or something. That's just like, depending on what era or like style of arranging you're interested in, you could like fill in the blanks usually with transcribing, or if not, you'll still have something that sounds good because you kind of are familiar with what is supposed to be there. Does that make sense?
And you get to a point where, especially like we've been singing together for years, so when you get to the point where Chris will sing the melody, and that is ingrained in us enough where we just go, it should probably sound like this as we sing it, and and adjust it until it's, that's what it is.
Cool. Okay, and the last thing I have to ask is, do you have any other advice for students in high school or college who are interested in starting their own like small ensemble, whether it's vocal or instrumental or anything like that? Any advice for people like that?
Do it with your friends.
Yeah.
Do it for fun.
That's what we did. It worked out, yeah.
Like, honestly, we love singing together, but we just love being together probably just as much. So, I guess if you find people who you enjoy being with and who enjoy the thing that you enjoy, the singing and the making music or whatever, as much as you do, and then the rest is history.
That's so wholesome.
I mean, find people you like, and even if that person hasn't sung, like if you're trying to start Barbershop, if they sing but they haven't tried Barbershop, just it's not a huge jump to go from one to the other, and you can get them into it. So I think just trying to like the first time we met in the cafeteria, that day we were like, oh, Barbershop, let's get together after this and just sing together. Like, no, we're not starting a group. Yeah. We're not gonna learn a chart to perform. Let's just read this chart together and just make sounds that sound nice.
Yeah.
And from there, you learn and get better and start groups. And
Sweet. Would you guys be willing to sing something before we end?
Of course.
Sing me out?
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah.
What?
What are we doing?
High 2-syllable name.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
No way. Okay. Here we go. We're singing High Soleil, what do you know and what do you say? High Soleil, throw all your worries away. We're here to entertain you in the barbershop style. So throw your cares and troubles aside for a while. We're singing High Soleil, my Soleil. Now's the time to say hi. Now's the time to say hi.
Yay! That's awesome. Thank you so much. That's all I have for anything else you have to say.
No,
Thank you
No,
so
we're
much.
good.
Chris.
Thank you.
It was
Yeah.
really fun.
it's lovely
awesome.
talking to you.
Yeah, I really appreciate you guys taking the time.
This is our first podcast interview.
Yeah.
First interview ever.
And it was
really.
a great one.
Yeah.
Your
Yeah,
questions
great-
were like,
great
what
questions.
is idiomatic of the barbershop? So like,
It was great questions.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Thank you. See ya.
Take
See
care.
ya.
Bye.
Bye.
As always, the music is composed and arranged by Isaac Houghton. The musicians are Michael Sakash on alto and tenor sax, Brian Lucy on baritone saxophone, Quinn and me on trumpet, me on trombone, Ethan St. Pierre on drums, and Isaac on bass. Our cover art is painted by Sierra Rollman. Social media manager is Olivia Wentworth. Recording equipment thanks to the FA Arts Department. And thank you to Mr. Swayze for teaching me how to use the equipment. And of course, thanks to my amazing theory teachers who inspired me to pursue this project. I will be back next week for more Thursday morning fun.